Of protests have shaken Iran under Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, already battling economic crises after years of sanctions and recovering after the June war against Israel. The movement, which originated with a shutdown on the Tehran Bazaar on December the 28th after the Rial plunged to record lows, has spread nationwide and is now being marked by larger scale demonstrations. Authorities have blamed unrest on rioters, and the judiciary chief has vowed there would be no leniency in bringing them to justice. Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah ousted by the 1979 Islamic Revolution and a key exiled opposition figure, said that the turnout during Wednesday's protest had been unprecedented and has called for new major protests today. Professor Imbar, of course, we've seen these protests going on for 12 days now. Are these structurally different to other protests that we've seen in the past?
It's not clear that it's much different than the hijab demonstrations that lasted longer. It is not clear yet if there is any reluctance among the security forces of Iran to shoot demonstrators. I think it's too early to judge this demonstration as a turning point that might lead to the fall of the regime. We also don't see any disputes in the ruling elite that might encourage the demonstrators. And basically, the demonstrators have no organized leadership and that can organize in a better way the demonstrations and maybe provide some kind of military resistance to the regime forces.
And how much do you think these protests are still being driven by the economic woes that the people of Iran are facing? Is this turning into something else?
Obviously, the demonstrations were triggered by the terrible economic situation of Iran, lack of water, lack of electricity, and fall of the local currency. But after all, the Iranians suffer from the tyranny of this regime, and this is an additional cause for trying to revolt and demonstrate against the regime.
And how is Israel viewing these protests? Of course, we've seen Benjamin Netanyahu signal support for the people in the streets of Iran. What are people saying there?
Well, I think that every democratic nation looks in a sympathetic way to what is happening in Iran. After all, the religious tyrannical regime in Tehran is not acceptable to any democracy, and they would like to see the end of the suffering of the Iranian people. But sympathy is not enough. Nobody is going to do something substantial in order to change the situation in Iran.
Yeah, exactly. What options does the regime actually have left here to tackle these issues that the protesters are facing?
We have to remember that Iran is under regime sanction regime, and as this is one additional burden on the economy. Of course, there is a lot of diplomatic discourse against the regime, but this is not enough to topple the regime that is ready to shoot at the demonstrators. So in the absence of organized opposition in Iran, the West can't do much but wait for counter-revolutions that its roots are in the Iranian political entity.
Professor Ephraim Imbar, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. We now move on, and days